summer. So we made this new book, and that's how. Speaking about this live show, we could do in March sometimes. With our live team.
Just
spring,
so y'all
spring
know,
break is right in the middle of the month. Just so you know.
Kim, you can't cuss anymore. We're live streaming.
And oh my God! Don't make out like I'm a cusser.
I was joking. Kim's not the cusser, but Dennis was speaking French earlier. So now, guys, are we recording also?
Live streaming to YouTube directly.
Okay, so then that handles the recording, correct?
Yep, exactly.
Excellent. Well, hello.
Thank you, Get.
Thanks for. Okay.
You are welcome. Okay.
No one can say Guy's name perfectly. We just butcher it the best we can.
No, really, it's really funny because the last week, also everybody in the company where I'm working, they always trying to do the same. This week is my name week. I don't know why.
So how to pronounce it? Pronounce it once for us.
Raith.
Again?
Raith.
Raith.
Yep.
Raith.
Exactly. Dennis, this is perfect. This is better than me even.
It was so funny because my husband could pronounce it exactly how it should.
From the first time without telling, yes, he's fantastic. Tell him hi.
Okay, after 1 year of mentoring, I made it.
No.
Do I get a certificate?
I don't mean this harshly because we are family, but y'all are very much out of control right now. We're recording. So finally, Amir's been so patient. For those of you listening to the recording, we've been having a blast while we've been waiting to make sure we could record, because we didn't want the world to miss out on what Amir is going to share with us this morning, or at least this morning, my time. It's definitely evening for most people. And Amir, thank you so much. I know you're going to share a real, honest, authentic story with us, and that takes courage. But I want you to know, anything that you share that's humbling, I could share a much more humbling story. I want you to know that. And then, but we're eager to hear about your journey into data science. And I will try not to interrupt you, and we're going to let you talk for at least 10 or 20 minutes before we start interrupting you and badgering you with questions. So please take the floor.
Thank you so much, Tom. I really hope I finish within 20 minutes or before I open the floor to questions and comments. So thank you for joining, everyone, especially those who are in India, because I know it's been quite late. I hope you can see my screen. Let me know once you. Okay.
We can see it.
Sure. Hello, everyone. I'm Amir, and if you're expecting me to come up with an introduction, I would save time here. And I also feel that instead of coming up with some labels or which define us like a data scientist, a writer, or something, I think I am much more dynamic than that, and I think we all are in some way or the other. So let me just walk you through my data science journey. So the story begins back in October 2017. I was a college freshman, and I was expected to work on a project that was based on data analysis. We were supposed to be working in a team of 5, and we picked up a data set from Kaggle on oil spill accidents. Then things happened. Fortunately, we had a mentor. Still, we couldn't figure out or like wrap our heads around it. We went through the tutorials. We went through Tableau, Python, and everything. But somewhere I felt that it's not my thing. I'm not enjoying what I'm doing, or I'm not having that motivation to go and pursue or finish this project. So also parallelly, I should accept that and admit that back then I was too nerd and too much into grades. So we had a course named computer programming back in our first year. So this course completely ruined my grades. This was the only course that ruined my grades, and it left a terrible experience back then. So somewhere I feel that based on these set of experiences, I somehow had an impression that I fear programming, technology, and these things are completely out of my comfort zone. So, and because I was here or in college to pursue a degree in petroleum engineering, so I thought a petroleum engineer certainly should not know how to code, right? So that's why I somehow became very skeptical and rigid about the belief that I had for myself, which leads me to my first mistake, that being too rigid about the beliefs we hold for ourselves is a mistake. And somehow I feel that that's what was the barrier, or that we'll see ahead. And a lesson I learned is, don't limit yourself based on a certain set of experiences, um, because learning to code or learning to programming under a certain set of situations, right? So maybe that situation is not favorable for you, but you can, or you will be in future be good at programming or might enjoy it. So don't just define yourself or limit yourself based on these experiences. That's what I learned from here. Moving ahead, let's fast forward to March 2020. World is at a standstill, and so we were. um, I utilized this time to take a pause and reflect and ruminate about my future career progression. Where do I see myself 10 years from now? And questions like, um, when was the last time I worked on something that completely, it consumed me entirely, yet I was not feeling fatigued. It was something that basically I was trying to figure out my ikigai, which is an intersection of all the three circles. Something that I love, something that adds value to the society, which is also relevant 10 years from now, and something that can pay me well. um, I was trying to figure out these hard questions, trying to sit down and force myself to answer these questions. But I'll admit that these questions are not straightforward, so it was hard to answer them. And gradually I was feeling that, yeah, maybe technology is something that is the future. But somewhere I also had that fear. So till now I was under that perception that, yeah, it's not my cup of tea. But things happened. There was a very tough phase that I went through. There was only one hope from my campus placements or interviews. And also at the same time I got COVID. So Kimberly, heads up, I could relate to what you just said. So it was a very tough and difficult situation. I couldn't go, like, get through the interviews, and then I also was struggling to heal from COVID. So as I remember one fine evening, while returning from a routine checkup, I was sitting in the car, and also I was almost about to heal. Like, I was healing, and doctor said that this might be the second last checkup. So I randomly came across an article from Scott Young, which you can see on the screen. Learning to code is easy. Here's how to teach yourself. And you know that this 10-minute article might just be a few lines, but it completely busted my myths and changed my perceptions on coding or programming, or my fear of programming, and how should I, like, within a some minutes, it just changed how I viewed the lens through which I viewed my fear of programming and how I approached it. So somewhere I started becoming more optimistic and hopeful about coding or something. But till here I did not anticipate that I'll enter data science. um, Somewhere I think, towards the end of 2020 I started attracting more feed which revolved around breaking into data science, and how people from all sorts of all sorts of ages, and even in their 60s, and people from all experiences and backgrounds were able to successfully make the transition. So I was attracting all this positive news. And then one day I also went through that Google's video on machine learning. So it really made me feel powerful and future, like, it gave me a vision to see the future, like 10 years down the lane I would also want to sit on the other side of the screen, inspiring people to use technology to solve such problems. And then and there I decided, like, I'm almost about to heal from COVID, and let's take it a step further. So I started gradually thinking about you know starting to learn data science, and it was 2021, so new year, new resolutions. The lesson learned here is it's good to make an informed decision by learning about the day-to-day tasks. So before telling that, I think it's worth to mention that I scheduled a few calls, one-to-one calls with so many people from all sorts of backgrounds and experiences. I remember setting a call with Avery, who was a chemical engineer, then a few geologists, and even researchers for that aspect, to just understand how did they make their career switch, and how did they figure out their decisions based on their career. So this is something I did. But before asking them how did they make this switch or transition, my first question to them was that what do you do on a day-to-day basis on your work? Like, what does it look like? What is the peak moment when you feel really absorbed and consumed, and you want to give all your energy, but yet you feel very happy to do your work? And what are some dull moments? Because I think it's very important that we know what I am aiming for, what I'll be doing when I'll be a future, like when I'll be a future in data science in the future. So that's what I have written here, that it's good to make an informed decision by learning about the day-to-day tasks associated with your future role, and also understanding the challenges that might come beforehand, because that really helps to understand that, okay, this kind of background brings this kind of challenges, and I can sail through these challenges since this person has already done it. So if you know it beforehand, it really helps. I think that was in this phase. So this was early Jan in 2020 or late December. So when I started, I think I picked up 2 courses from DataCamp. It really went well, and for the month of January, I covered Python and all these fundamentals. It was going good, um, but then things happen. In February, I remember going back to college, and I mean, it was a long pause, like the 9 months pause, where I was away from my second family that we call friends. And all of a sudden it felt overwhelming, and I just forgot that I just started data science journey. So I wouldn't won't blame me that I stopped studying data science. But somewhere I also got distracted with other things. Like I wanted to start a project on data science to implement and learn what I'm studying. But it was a part of my bachelor's thesis, so it was more oriented towards the research from petroleum engineering domain. But then what really happened is, it was a novel concept, and I think this happens with most research which is on a very incipient stage, that they want, like, there's not much data to back it up, and I just kept going on searching for data, because I relied on data from companies and organizations, and I just went around searching for data, but I couldn't. So this is something that I want everyone to take a moment and understand, that it often happens that we feel like we are making progress, we are dedicating our time, it's productive, but we actually aren't making any progress. So it's easy to get fooled that you are making progress when you actually aren't. And that's the mistake I made. And the lesson I would like everyone to go away with here is frequently make some reality checks. Ask yourself these questions: that what did I learn in the last week, or what did I learn, like if it is bi-weekly introspection, what did I learn from the last 2 weeks? Because if you're able to quantify that, that means you have learned something. Or if you haven't, you are getting fooled by yourself. You're making yourself fool that, yeah, I spent some time, but there's no output, there's no productivity, right? So that's something that I want everyone to take away, because it's very easy to get overwhelmed with a lot of things and a lot of networking and boosting and everything. But what we actually have made progress is really important to introspect. And then there was one really good highlight or good pointer about me going back to data science that made me stick is, there was a course named Modeling, Simulation and Optimization in our final semester. It was a very math heavy course, very. And I think almost 95% of the class didn't get the course. Like, they just felt it's something out of the world. And fortunately, I was in the top 5% who was able to get the math and programming right. So somewhere after reading the article, understanding and having the perception that programming might be tough, but it's not something that is not possible. Now that it also involved a bit of programming, I was able to cover that and I was able to perform well in that course. So this is something I took it as an inspiration to go back to my data science journey. So after finishing off my exams and projects, I started with a bang for the final and the third chance. So these were two of my data science learning journey failures. And there are some important lessons and highlights that I have made. But by the end of May, I read the career transition story from Avery. He comes up with a very important lesson that you can get paid to learn data science, and how he has put it, it is like initially he was working for free in a lab, and then he comes and starts starts putting some algorithms and working and some predicting something. So he has added value to the business or something as an intern, and then he starts getting paid for the role of data scientist, which was vacant. So the crux is that you can get paid to learn data science once you prove your worth, and that is something I had a conviction in. So with that in mind, I started my journey with a bang. And this time, what really happened, fortunately, is I could feel the momentum of learning things. Like I think it's very easy to not feel making any progress, because earlier I was going through Python and all those basic things, all the data structures and algorithms and everything, but I couldn't feel any progress. Now when I consulted a few people that what are some really good things or basic things that a beginner level data scientist should know, or should be able to like I'm able to, if I'm hireable, what should I know as a beginner or entry level for an entry level data scientist job? So people told me data cleaning, data pre-processing, basic ML algorithms like logistic regression, linear regression, size also helped me at that point of time. So these were some of the things that I got to know, and then I started working on it, and I could feel the momentum that yeah, I'm applying these things, I'm actually making a model. I felt I'm involved in this, and based on this, I felt confident that yeah, I can make this transition and I can get hired or get paid to learn data science and apply data science. So I appeared for my first interview, which was off campus as well as my first data science interview. It went well. I could tell them everything that I know, basic mathematics, statistics, all the things, all the basic things that one data scientist should know. And then there were also some questions that I couldn't answer, but I showcased an enthusiasm and confidence that I want to learn these new things, and if given some resources, I can figure out these things. If I don't know, or if there's something in a future project that requires to know me these things, I can figure it out myself. So this kind of figure out ability or enthusiasm and confidence has to be showcased while you appear for an interview, and fortunately I had that. So if you look at the slides, I mentioned that it's so easy to get overwhelmed and feel like a pile of concepts is left, because I remember earlier also, while we were covering data science, yeah, how to get started with data science Q&A. Just take a pause. So when we were trying to ask people, people really came up with questions like, there's a lot to learn, how to learn it in a limited amount of time. But people really don't know that for an entry level data scientist job, you don't need to know everything, because it's an ever evolving field, and you really will not know everything at one point of time. So focus on the basics, focus on the fundamentals, and get them right. Finally, I have some piece of advice for everyone. Have an aptitude to comprehend problems. Now, these problems can be from anywhere based on your background. If you're from finance, it can be finance related problems. If you look at business problems, it can be related to your engineering problems. Also, let's say if my domain is petroleum engineering, don't just limit yourself to problems in that domain, because having a multidimensional view perspective regarding those problems and understanding and comprehending them really helps you, add value. So this is something that I would like to advise everyone, because at the end, we all are problem solvers in some way or the other. Have a broader vision of the industry that you're targeting. If I'm targeting petroleum industry, let's say, so I should have a very broader vision that these are some of the cases where data science can be used as a tool to add value to business, and these are some things that are in the incipient stage or research stage. So have the vision and where it can be applied, so that people can trust you, and it really shows that you have the enthusiasm in applying data science and learning data science. um, Third point is highlighting your domain expertise as your strength and not weakness. I think I have highlighted this a lot of times initially as well, because people really think that I come from this background, I don't have a CS background. How will I be able to make this transition? I don't feel confident, or I worked in this industry for so many years. But we all should go back and see all those people who from all sorts of backgrounds and experiences who have successfully made a transition. If they have made it, you can also make it, and it's possible. And one thing I would like to highlight here is, don't see it as your weakness that since I'm from a petroleum engineering background, I have internships in this domain, I really can't add value, because that's your strength. Since you understand that domain well, you understand the data well, it would be much beneficial to the employer for you to hire, because someone from a CS background won't understand the data as much as you can understand, right? And also, when you are saying these things or when you're showcasing these things, make sure you present them in such a way that you can create a parallel. Like, let's say I use some industry relevant software to solve some problem from this domain, and you can say that since I use technology to solve a problem, this kind of technology, this kind of software, I can also use data science and statistics and mathematics as a tool to solve some other business problems and add value. So this is what I want to say: nurture transferable skills and create a parallel. um, Finally, before coming to some soft skills, I think I have pretty much summed it up on even the final point. Soft skills is something that it's present, or you have to practice it to be more better. uh, to list, I have just mentioned 3 soft skills: communication, collaboration, leadership, but there can be a lot more. I think these 3 were something that helped me to present myself better and make me more hireable, because like we have been hearing, this is a time and again that we have been hearing a lot of people saying that soft skills are more important in data science, because in everyday tasks you just don't come up and show, like, you have to communicate, right? You have to collaborate, and you have to show leadership at times to get things done in a organization. So that's something that I would like you all to take away with. um, Finally, I would leave you guys to read it. I won't read this, and I think this is Magdi's favorite quote so far. So I hope you all took away something, and just let's take a moment to read the closing thoughts.
Both beautiful quotes. Although the first one seems a bit wiser for some reason. Oh, that was
Thank you,
excellent. By the way, Amir, I want you to know, I was getting some private messages like, oh, I feel so validated. It's okay to fear that I suck at coding, and you probably will suck at it at the beginning. But what's it say? To become good at something new, you got to embrace sucking at it first. And oh yeah, I remember when I first dove into Linux, I felt like such a Linux idiot. And then it was just, a few months of banging on it. It was like, oh, this makes sense. Then I go back to Windows sometimes and I feel lost. No, this is great. I prepared some questions. I'm very eager to hear some questions from others, though. So it sounds like what you're saying is you came to a dawning that your learning path was not all that unique from others early learning path. You realize, oh, I'm not alone in these challenges. I feel that feeling like I'm lost in my current direction. I need to change directions. But then when you changed, you realized, okay, I've got to face my fears, and I'm not the only one facing these fears. I think I heard that accurately, right?
Absolutely, Tom. Yeah, you got me correct. So
Okay.
it was, yeah, it was pretty much the same as you summarized it.
Now we have a saying. It's kind of an old joke in the States. The preacher's up there preaching a message, and they're like, yeah, yeah. And then at a certain point, you feel like, oh, you were preaching, now you're meddling, because you feel convicted. You feel guilty about what the preacher's preaching. And I felt that way a little bit. You said, sometimes you think you're progressing, but you are not. And I thought, oh man, Amir, now that was a low blow. And I thought, no, I need to be honest. And so how do we make sure we are making progress? What are some ways that you deceived yourself that, oh, I'm making progress? And then when you were honest with yourself, oh, I'm not making progress. And after you've confessed to that, I might confess to some ways that I do that. But you were
Sure.
meddling there, buddy.
Sure, Tom. Yeah. I think what works for me is having self-awareness and having some bi-weekly or weekly reviews based on the time I get. Like I use Notion to plan my entire week. So I can really spot hours and fix things like, let's say I had to work on a project for so and so hours, but then what aspects did I cover? I really have a weekly planner review and some questions. So what aspects of the project did I cover? How many hours did I put, and how many hours of productivity did I get? So this kind of review and introspection has to be done quite frequently to understand if you are actually really making progress, because I'm much more aware now, because once I saw that, okay, I spent almost entire month on just trying to collect data, and at the end of the day, I don't have any data to work on. So I really felt awful at that point of time. It was back in March 2020. So 2021, sorry. So at that point, I was really frustrated. And then I think it was time to go for a trusted system which, really keeps track of everything. So at that, from then I started really realizing that, okay, let's just try and put some planning thing or note taking system, and then really reviewing it, at least if not weekly, at least bi-weekly or monthly, so that you can really get along things and check, make a check.
Okay. Now, that was helpful, but and I will confess to my biggest, oh, I'm making progress, but I'm probably not. But what's been your biggest, I guess we all have distractions that maybe it's not a bad distraction, but we get too addicted to it. So what's been the thing that draws you away from the greatest amount of progress?
I think that's quite a hard question, because it's hard to name one. There are a lot of distractions, but sometimes if you see if it has positives as well, like if it's something that is good, but yet it is distracting you, I think it is like, if you can recall, a month ago, I was continuously posting on LinkedIn, and then suddenly I've stopped now. Like I've reduced the frequency. It's because somewhere I felt lost. Somewhere I felt that, okay, I'm finding some insights, finding like making a post that is, really good for the community to consume. But at the end of the day, I just don't want to learn this one post from, like, the content from a post. That's the only thing I'm learning from it, right? I need to learn more. And so I think as of now, I have reduced the frequency. I've stopped it. Like I've not completely stopped, but I am posting it on a weekly basis, not on a daily basis, because I think that really consumed me, and the notifications, the pings, settings, comments, and then everything. I felt really a lot stuck there. So this is something that I can recall at the moment. Also, sometimes if I am writing or something, trying to finish something. So I really get consumed a lot, and I just don't get the bang that there are other things to look for.
I appreciate you. That's my same confession. I'll get there. Hang on. That's my same confession, Amir, and I have to be very careful to watch that. But I'm very grateful too. My current employer wants me to be popular on LinkedIn for his own benefits, which is great. But now I do have the hands in order. I'm a little concerned. Okay, but Guy gets to.
I will keep my hand raised because this is not my question, but this is only a comment.
Okay.
It's about the progression because it's very important. I think Amir, he knows that, but only I want to highlight it. It's very simple, but I think it's very important. What really make you feel that you are making progress, but you are not, it's unclarity on the goal. You don't know where are you going. This is the most important. You are doing such a set of great things, but where is the goal exactly? Where is the current endpoint? I'm not going to name it as final or life endpoint. This is what really might, you make a lot of progression, but it's not really towards something touchable. This is my point. And the last point I want to add here, whatever was your goal, it's not that much hard. It's only just like filling the glass of water from a river. So just you want to find the correct track. This is my comment. I still have a question.
Okay, great. And that was good. I'm glad I trust you to interrupt, but y'all might have to help me with this. SMART goals are specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, which I always felt like those two kind of went together. And then timely, meaning that there's a time sense to them. I may have gotten one of the letters wrong, but my concern was there's one person in our family that we've never seen, but we cannot afford to make mad, and that is Catherine Rothman. So Dennis, I'm sensing soup time in France. Do we need to hear from you before you go? Because we want to hear from you before you go.
Yeah, I can give some thought. When I started out, maybe I'll just tell you what my honest goals were. I read Paul Samuelson, the economist, and there's what we call the dollar vote. So the dollar vote for anything you do. And then on the other side, I was reading a lot of Kotler, and I recently co-authored a book with him, to keep your eye on the market. So I was saying, I have all these ideas. That's great. I'm very creative. I play the piano. I paint. That time I was playing jazz and bars and all that. And I was saying, well, at one point, there's going to be a dollar vote. Where are the dollars going to come from? Because I have to live, and I'm going to look at the market. And that was my guide. So I was saying, when I first saw the first computers, I said, wow, okay, if I make programs, I can reproduce the programs and I don't have to go everywhere. So I just followed the market and the dollar vote. So every time an innovation came up, like I registered a patent, well, I said, now let's make money out of it. So I went to corporations and sold it. Then I made another patent, sold it to what's Airbus now. This is really the beginning. I got Lacoste, the crocodile, Airbus, and LVMH because I had my eyes on the ball. So I would be more pragmatic. I'd say, keep your eye on the ball. Look where the money is, because at one time you're going to need money. Ideas are nice, but how are you going to pay for your rent or mortgage, cars, a family? You need money. So I'm saying to keep my eye on the ball, and I'm going to make money, and I'm going to look where the money is. The money's in corporations, and they like innovation. So here are my patents. Now give me the money. So I just kept my eye on the ball all these years, and every day, since you mentioned my wife, every day at noon, for the last many decades, my wife every day at noon in our business would say, Dennis, stop working and tell me what we can build, because I don't even care what you're doing. What are all your programmers, what are your developers doing in this office? I don't know, and I don't care, and I don't understand. But I want to know what I can build today, because there's not many bills this month. So stop your creative stuff and give me some bills. So that's been going on for every day up to today. You're writing a book. How much are you getting for it? So at one point you have to eat. So I would say keep your eye on the ball. Progress is when you're getting money too. It's not, oh, I got some new ideas, but how much you earning? Well, nothing yet. Well, great. Where do you live? Well, I live in the street. Okay, great. So I'm a bit pragmatic because I've always been self-employed. And as you know now, I have a wife that's very pragmatic because we had children to raise and she didn't care about my ideas. She wanted soup. She wanted money to get the soup on the table. So she was the real boss.
Well, hopefully none of us get distracted away from that goal. Otherwise, we do go hungry or can't afford to pay for a place to live. No, that's a good point. Is Catherine ever going to show up one day to just say hi to us?
Well, maybe, but she's not that kind of person. She's the kind of person that holds a whole family together.
If I make a video for your new book, would she maybe show up if I did that for? No.
She doesn't care. She doesn't care about it. She just looks at my royalty statement every 3 months and you say, okay, you've been locked up in that room doing all that math. What's it for? We have grandchildren, we have children. She's the reminder that there's a real life out there and you keep your eye on the ball. So she's the eye on it. I doubt it because she's not into anything social. She keeps the whole family together. She's the pillar of about 40 people. Every time there's a problem, they call my wife and she'll solve that problem. And she lets her little husband, egocentric husband, do all the social media stuff as long as he's happy with thinking that he's important. Great. But he better be there at soup time or he's not going to be important.
That's right. That's right.
Okay, so it's great being with you. Next week, I'm out in the mountains with the family, but I'll be back. I just like to make a comment on Amir. That was a very brave presentation, because when you're young like that, I admit that at that age I couldn't do what Amir just did. It takes a lot of courage to go out and say, I looked for this, I didn't find that. I would never dare say that when I was 20, 25 or 30. I'm in a generation where you couldn't complain. So
yes, I can relate, Dennis, and I appreciate this generation being like he was today. Absolutely.
Yeah, because then you say, wow, if people told me that when I was 25, I would have felt better, because every time we failed, our parents or the elder people just look at us like the great big failure. But Amir and his generation, well, he shows his weaknesses and he makes them into strong points. So Congratulations for this new generation.
Thank you so much, Dennis. It means a lot.
Yeah.
Really. Thank you so much, Dennis and Tom.
And I think Dennis, people that are as old as Dennis and I now feel much more comfortable that, hey, it's okay to say that we had those fears when we were young too. So
I wouldn't say it before. I wouldn't even say it before I met you, Tom. You're the one that got me out of the closet.
Oh gosh, I'm still getting out of the closet. I'm still overcoming all of that. I'm the oldest Gen Xer you'll meet, like I've shared with others, but I'm of young boomer age, and I was raised around boomers, and it's tough.
It's difficult to get your emotions out, because in my generation, you didn't have emotions. You only had results. So now it's nice. Amir, that's nice. You make me feel better.
Thank you
all
so
right,
much.
we'll tell Catherine hi for us.
Okay. And she definitely knows all about you. She likes you, but she's not the social type. She's the family type. Okay.
Well,
so
I hope to come to France
maybe
and
one
have
day I'll
soup
get
one
her
day.
on. Maybe I'll get her on one day.
I hope to meet her face to face over soup someday.
If you come, you'll be like a king in the house. Any of you.
Nice. Okay, cool.
You'll be a king or a queen in the house. Okay, so have a nice week and see you maybe in 2 weeks.
Take care, Dennis.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for speaking.
Okay,
and,
bye-bye.
Sheesh.
I have fun in the mountains.
Yeah. And Chaith. Bye-bye, Chaith. Okay, bye-bye.
All right, Ashish, thanks for your patience. We're eager to hear what you wanted to share.
Hi, Amir. First of all, it was a really great presentation. I like mostly two things. Those are my highlights from your session. First of all, that you kept exploring things even in tough times. Kudos to that. Like it is really difficult to be persistent when you are not in your 100%. And secondly, it is amazing to know that you kept on self-analyzing, introspecting yourself. And that is one part probably in the end I would like to know more about how you did that. I would like to also learn from you how I can incorporate that in, or anyone can incorporate that in their lives. My question to you is, so uh, not in a career change perspective, but anyone who is willing to enter into data science, what is the most difficult or toughest transition, uh, or toughest part where one can get stuck and not move forward in that career progression? Uh, I hope I'm
Okay.
clear.
Yes. I think the journey is very personal to everyone. Like for me, it's different. Maybe for someone else it might be different. So I will try to answer it from my perspective and my experience. Um, like I mentioned, if you're not feeling that you are involved, you are not gaining momentum by learning things. Um, had I been been a lazy person and not really hopping on from one thing to another, like I think I learned data pre-processing, logistic irrigation, everything in a week, because I was feeling that progress and momentum. Like I was just going on and on and on and on, learning one thing from another, one thing to another. But if someone is stuck at one thing, let's say data structures and algorithms, and if he is giving a very perfection kind of approach, like I have to get perfect in this thing, then only I'll move to another. So this is something that really hinders you, because I faced this a lot earlier when I was in my freshman year. So at that point of time, I think these were some of the mistakes that really, if I get a error, I really used to get frightened. Oh no, I had to get every step in a one go. So I was that kind of perfectionist back then. I think that really hinders you a lot, because you feel like, oh no, I got this error, now what the heck do I do? And like it's just impossible, because I spent an hour learning on making, like going to this tutorial, but since yet I'm getting this error. So it really blocks you, like from the mindset level, at the mindset level, that no, it's not possible, it's not my cup of tea. But you have to know that you will face challenges, you will face errors, all you have to just go to Stack Overflow and get it resolved. So these kind of things you get through, like with time and experience, and that's all I would say. I hope that
So,
answers your question.
yeah, just a small follow-up question. So, like according to what you said, it is also equivalently important to be pragmatic rather than just following the procedures uh, every time. So
Correct,
you have
correct.
to be equally pragmatic. And the follow-up question is that so in, let's say I want to start and get into data science, and I have a couple of resources with me which direct me to how I can get into data science, how can start Kaggle. Uh, what is the one thing that will hinder me from getting an opportunity into a data science role, and how I can tackle that?
Hmm. Okay. When you mention resources, one thing that comes to my mind is getting overwhelmed, because there are a lot of resources, there are a lot of platforms, there are a lot of opportunities nowadays. But you know, if you keep doing all things together, it will just mess up. You have to take one thing at a time, ignore everything else. Like just focus on that. Let's say you're focusing on a Kaggle competition, focus on that, get it done, learn things, and then move on to another. But if you really, take 10 different resources, learn from 10 different resources at the same time, and then you end up learning nothing in a significant amount of time, then it might hinder you a lot. That's what I feel.
Very good. Thank you, Ashish. Okay, next in line is Kim. Or Cassie. Sorry, Cassie.
Okay, so thank you so much, Amr, for sharing. That was so amazing. And it's very interesting. When you were talking about the sort of, I had two takeaways. One, the thing that I thought was so interesting and great that you highlighted, which I think is very important for a lot of people to keep in mind, is that sometimes we dip our foot in the water and we go, oh, it's too cold, I don't like it. I don't think this is right for me. I'm not going to go swimming. And yet you can come back to that same body of water and realize, oh, it's not so cold, I'll get used to it. And the fact that you did this with computer science, I think is very interesting, because a lot of people get scared off, myself included. I mean, I took computer science when I was in college and left it. I switched over to finance and economics. I was very happy in finance and economics. I could do my regression analysis without having to do discrete math. I was happy. But it's very interesting, because things do evolve and change, and that water is never the same body of water. So the fact that we all grow and we change, and when you're looking at something, even if it's a week later than when you looked at it a week before, it's not the same. It's different because you have more perspective, or you're coming at it from a different angle. And it's so important for people to understand that and going back to as well the idea that one should track progress. I think that this is very specific to the person. One of the things that I loved when I first started doing this, Tom was amazing. And he said, okay, so what you need to do is you need to put your study plan together. And he shared this great spreadsheet with me, and we were like, okay, I'm going to set up my plan. I'm going to have all my classes. I'm going to put what I'm learning, all of my different math, all of my different data. And I looked at that spread and I went, oh my God, I'm never going to be able to do this. I got so overwhelmed. And I was like, okay, Kim, one tab at a time, just one tab at a time. Don't look at everything. Just look at one tab at a time. And I think that this is very true too, that the idea that you can track progress is good, but don't beat yourself up. We all have our own learning rates. We all have our own interests. We all have lives that we have to live that are just as important. It's important to find this balance. And as Raith was saying, it's important to have a goal in mind, like to think, okay, what is this exact goal that I'm going after right now? It might change in 3 months, but right now, let me set a goal and be able to measure that goal and have something as a product as a result of that goal. So the idea of tracking, I think, is important, but also having an actual project, something tangible that's like, okay, I did this, whether it's a Kaggle competition or whether it's a project that you pull data from and you show. Because as Dennis was saying, there is a very pragmatic side to things. You do need to be able to tell a business, I have this. Nowadays, everybody is learning. And so I feel like this is so unimpressive to companies. They're like, yeah, great, we're all learning. Fantastic. Everyone needs to be a learner. Well done. But you have to have something that you can show. And it can be overwhelming. I frequently get overwhelmed, and then I just kind of laugh and I go, why am I letting this bother me? I will get these things in place. I will put them in order. I'll do what I need to do, but it's okay. I have my own pace. I have my own rate. I have a business. I'll figure it out. So I think that that was a fantastic learning lesson that came from your presentation. Thank you so much, and thank you for sharing. It's great.
Really appreciate it, yeah, Kimberly. And I also agree with your thoughts that learning is very personal. The approach we go ahead with is personal, and your journey is very unique to you based on your sets of experiences and encounters. Like you said, the perspective, one might not get it for the second time, but for the third time, it might be not the same cold water, and the swimming might not be hard. I love that analogy and be using it from now onwards. Thank you for the analogy. So yes, I agree. And on tracking part, for some people it might work. For some people it might just be like, oh, I've just finished this much, so I need to do a lot more. So that might kind be overwhelming. So yes, I agree, it's personal, but somewhere it's also important. Yes, true.
Very good. And Kim, as always, I love what you've been saying in the chat. We're going to go to Geith next, but I want to just say briefly, Kim, I've seen evidence many times of domain experts muddying the analysis, because they can't let the data talk them out of their preconceived notions. So I actually think companies are making a mistake by insisting all their data specialists be skilled in that domain. No, I think that's a mistake, because then if you're new to the domain and you're more focused on, well, what does the data say? You may go talk to the domain experts, but you're not totally brainwashed by what they think yet. So
yeah, it's interesting. I think
kudos.
it's something that corporations have an issue with in particular. You know, I
Yeah.
don't think smaller companies do, but large corporations are so biased in that way.
Agreed. Right. Did
Okay,
I say it well?
I will start. Yes, that's correct. Okay. By the way, I forget sometimes how my name is pronounced since nobody is speaking Arabic. Okay. I will start from this last point. Maybe something from my personal life, from personal work, because I'm not a physician, I'm not a medical expert. Yes, I'm working on as a data scientist on healthcare, but I'm not in that domain. I'm coming from software engineering. So yes, part of my work right now, it's preventing interaction or overlapping between the domain experts and the data science work. I tell them always we are meeting at the end, not right now. Somehow, but for sure we need a business analyst. Somebody has to also make the correct link needed or the correct connection needed. That's why I'm always think about how much important is the business analyst for the data analytics and data science work. This is just a comment about this point. I was trusting myself that I'm able to organize my question, but I forget everything. I have only one noted on the paper, and this is the only one that I'm going to ask, because I forget all the others, which is when we are talking about programming, what is the programming skill that we need, and data science, and then all of this together. I need not only from Amir, by the way, this is for all of us, even me. Okay, what is the real difference between data science or data scientist, AI engineer, for example, programmer in general who's coming from software background, and data analytics, and how to find the boundaries between them? We know there is overlaps, but what is the boundaries between these four rules, for example? This is really, I think it will be important to understand the difference, because I'm not going to answer right now. Maybe I'm open it for discussion, but because I ask question on the chat, which is what you do as a data scientist or data analyst if you don't have data or enough data, let's name it. Okay. I think data is the most important because we are able to get insights from it, but not only from it. That means just back to Kimberly's note, so which is everybody is learning right now. So not only having the information is the most important, not obtaining the information. It's what to do on this information. Mainly, whatever we are doing on the life, we have two things. We have data and we have a process. If you are unable to catch the data, go and catch what you are able to get from the process itself. And from there, you can generate data and go ahead. This is in general, it's mentality, maybe something I'm always running behind this too. Either I need a data or I need to understand the process. Wherever, just think even in the learning process, in your life, in your way to the work, when you're traveling from one country to another, either you have enough data or you are tracking your process and get the insight from the process itself, which is the less amount of data, how the things works only without any wisdom behind it. Let's name it right now. Okay, this is my note only, and this is my question.
I think it's really based on what you're trying to do. I mean, I honestly think that, especially now with the way that industries are, you know, whether or not you need an engineer or you need an analyst or you need someone who knows the process, I think that people at this point are sort of, it's like a menu. You know, we need these elements, and so it's because everything is evolving, because maturing, because everything is maturing, because we're all adjusting to the latest tools and the latest resources and the latest learnings. It is this very like Chinese menu practically. You're pulling different elements from different parts and putting them all together. I think that the titles are going to eventually become more specific, so that one skill set, let's say programming, people are going to pull in programmers who are very good at being able to go between and toggle between different programs that are needed based on the assignment at hand. And so, people who are good at programming, who really understand when to use what function, where, when, why, they're going to be specialists in that programming area. And people who are very good at business processing engineering, like let's say like a Dennis Rothman, who's able to go into an industry, look at all of the pieces and go, okay, this is the process that we need to actually capture and do something with. There are going to be people who specialize in that. And it's not really too different than how industry has always been. Like if you look back to Six Sigma and you look back to programming and the way that things were, the history of the industry is just evolving such that there's a lot going on right now. There's a lot of noise. And I think that as things progress, it's going to fall back into these little pockets of specialization, the way that things always have. And that's just how I don't know what those titles will be associated with specifically, but I just see it as sort of, there's a storm and all the leaves have been thrown up and down, and now they're going to land. And the piles that they land in, that's how it's going to be.
These are great points you're making, Kim, and they're spot on with history. But just because we've seen various areas of technology or learning or intellect move in those directions doesn't mean that we have found the best way to manage each of those areas yet. I hope we can mature to a point. For example, I think most of these realms are missing the generalist, the overwatcher, to say, hey, have we thought of this? Y'all are so focused on this, but have you thought of the bigger picture? And I hope we don't lose that in the data sciences. I think we can't afford to.
Yes,
Guys,
Tom,
it's your
my
turn.
point.
What's your turn?
Okay, this is my point here on this. It's I think data scientists maybe in the 15th century, he might be right now become accountant. Why I mentioned this? What is really was, there's some techniques or methodologies followed just to capture all the accounts. All of these things appeared in the 15th century in Italy, for example. Right now, who's doing that? He is accountant. He is not data scientist anymore. So what is them really missed? It's something appeared currently that we are able to find insight from data. This is where it will go later. We can decide. But that means data science, it's very, very important to understand its mentality, just like what Dennis told us previously. Its mentality or mindset, it's not a set of techniques that we are following. This is my message here. Sorry, I'm done.
No, it's great. All right. Good points. Things that we need to keep helping each other think through too. Yeah, Kim, what you're saying too, it definitely migrated into that. Guy, right there's this guy on YouTube. He goes into the history of math in such a detailed way. I'll have to share that link with y'all. My son Luke turned me on to it. Magdi.
Yeah, thank you, Amir. So talk about your struggles and questions and what you went through. And there was one thing which really hit me, because it was such a mature advice. And actually, I was not thinking about that before. So I will definitely implement it. And it's namely that you have to make an informative decision. So based on kind of research, so your own research, and you just call up people in the roles you are targeting and checking on them. Okay, what kind of challenges do you face? What kind of issues did you face, or what do you like, and so on. And it's fascinated me. And I'm just wondering that because obviously we all have an imagination of a job role we targeting, more or less. I mean, some is really targeted and they know that, yeah, I want to be a business analyst and so on. Some is a little bit more wide range what they use for their goals. But at the end, it is good to know that what to expect, basically. And I fully agree that it's nice to look into the details. And my question is in that respect, and I have a second question, this is my first question. You had your kind of imagination about the role. How much did it change after talking to the people? Did that conversation or conversations redirect basically your goals based on the answers, or kept you, for example, questioning if this is really for you? So what was the impact basically on your thoughts, original or starting thoughts?
Yeah, that's a very, very great question, Magdi. Thank you for that. Because I remember talking to Avery, and like he literally mentioned that while working at ExxonMobil, he didn't feel much challenged or, you know, progressing after a time, because he mentioned that at the end of the day, he's just dealing with the reactor data and other sorts of data that are generated in the chemical engineering field. So I literally asked him like, so how does other people stick around? So he mentioned that well, they pay you well, and I, I'm forgetting what he exactly mentioned. So yes, he mentioned that people usually, you know, because of, he also tried going to ExxonMobil and trying his shot at a data scientist working in a chemical engineering background and industry. So he mentioned that it's worth a shot because that experience taught him something, right? Whatever he did there, it taught him something. And after a point, once he felt that, yeah, he's no longer enjoying it, he started his own business. Like we all know, he's now teaching others to transition into data. So after hearing that, I was somehow convinced that, okay, let's give it a shot. Let's see if I can make it. And then I also remember talking to a geologist, um, and what he mentioned was his everyday job does not involve like implementing high-end models or something that's like deep learning models or something, but most of it is either somewhat similar to consulting or constant communication with clients, or preparing the data. So I think it's now a very well aware fact that data scientists spend a lot of time preparing data or something. But I would have actually been surprised if you asked me like what was the imagination that you had, and what are you facing now, because that's something, a pinpoint that we don't want to trigger.
No, I mean,
Okay.
yeah, you start with an kind of an illusion or imagination. You talk with people, but still on the basis of the answer, you have to filter out the circumstances, because yeah, maybe that task for that person is not so interesting, but it can be that for you it is something for you, matching your capabilities. Maybe the company environment is not for that person, but it is for you. And on the other side, yeah, ExxonMobil, I also know someone working there, although it's accounting and financing, and she just loves it. She just loves the company culture because they care about them. So they support them. There is a great supervisor program, and they are getting tasks based on their capabilities and what they can do. So they see the potentials in you, for example. That is what I heard. So it is really depends on the place where you are, the company, when you are there, because the companies has also phases. So 100% you cannot say after a discussion with someone that, yeah, this is not a good job to do, for example, because you have your own individual approach with everything. That would be my comment. But thank you. And my second question is that during this learning journey and transitioning and so on, what was your trick to shut down the inner voice saying to you, you will suck, you will not get there, you are not on track, you are not progressing. So all the negative thoughts what comes usually with this whole journey. What was your trick to say, no, I can do it?
Okay, I think I'll take a moment to think, like, because there, of course, there are, there are these kind of phases in every person's journey, be it data science or something else. So I remember at times it was more like, I used to recall all those people, who were in a much more worse condition than mine. Let's say someone at an age of 60 who is trying to transition, but then how hard it might have been if he is never exposed to programming. I still was when I was, in my college. I had a course on programming, but someone in their 60s, how hard it might have been. So sometimes I used to remember of these people. Sometimes. I used to read successful career transition stories like Avery Smith and other people. Sometimes I used to connect with someone who really did, because I think we all need that reminder and that, a little push that no, it's fine. We all have been there and we all have had such phases and circumstances. But I think it's just that you need to push around and you need to um, keep at it. So one fine day you will get there.
Thank you. I'm also curious about others' answer.
Yes.
What they do in that
You and me, yeah.
situation.
I'll go. I wish I didn't feel that I understood misery loves company, but I sure do. When someone admits, "Oh, Tom, you're here and I'm up here," and I went through all those feelings that you're having right now, and I just had to, tell myself that's not true. Everyone goes through this, and just keep pushing through. Take smaller steps when you're really struggling to understand a concept. Just break it down into smaller steps. Read more references, and boom, it comes. But that's what I've had to do over the decades. Others, please. It's a great question.
I can go after that. Okay. I have two things here to mention. The first thing, it's maybe I have internal trust that we are all human. That means we are equal, even if not physically equal. That means it's not that our skill set is the same, but we are equal. Okay, so according to that, if something I really, first, I like it. Second, I found that the initial phase is started. I believe that I'm able to do it. So this is how I think about it. It's only that, okay, why I cannot? There's no reason that I cannot. This is my point of view always. Unless I couldn't start. This is the only thing. If I can start, that means I can finish. So this is my trick. If you ask this, Magdi, this is my trick how to shut down my internal voices. Besides, there is one thing. I think this internal voices is going louder with the age. Right now, for me, it's louder somehow from, for example, 15 years ago. And this is tricky. I think I have to learn something new just to shut them down. The last point is really connect the work, the learning into one cycle called life. And the person at the end, he is his life. He is not his internal brain or his skill set. He is reflecting his life in general. So if you like our life, we have to do something to let it go and go forward. So this is how I think about it. When I was your age, No, I'm
Yeah.
much younger than that, by the way.
Yeah, I do. I remember, college was tough, early careers tough. And then there were some points later career that were the hardest um, self crises I'd ever been through. So I can identify with what you're saying, Guy. It's almost like it hits a peak, and
Yes.
then you kind of learn to start surfing off the peak.
Yes,
I don't know.
I will tell you this from one point that mean it's reflecting even on my sleeping, by the way. Previously, I wasn't that much. It wasn't important for me to sleep 8 hours or 9 hours or 7 hours per day. I was able to work for 48 hours continuously. But currently, it's not like this. But here is one thing. It's very important. I think what really is able to shut up these internal voices is giving. When you help others and you feel yourself that you are make a difference to others, I think this is great motivator to go ahead.
Yeah, and Kim's point to what you're saying, that you raised a good point. As we get older, what is complicated in life changes. And so you need to recalibrate on these new challenges, basically. This recalibration takes adjustment, and sometimes doubt can set in at these points, like a crisis to get a drastically different hairdo, for example.
Exactly.
Cool. Exactly. You didn't get that just because it looks like Cassie. I know that.
Dude, you have to stop on the Cassie comparisons. Okay, she's not my favorite.
Well, now if she's listening in, you hurt her feelings just now. No,
no, it's
Hey.
not that. It's it's there's different personas, and it's a different
Sure.
persona.
No, I understand. Well, that's a talk for another time. Ashish, did you want to say something? If you did, you had your hand up for a minute, but if you do, leave it up. And I want to go to Sai's comment. He's been very patient. He wanted to make a comment when all the questions were done. So, Sai, what was your comment?
One of the best comment which I felt like, which I'll take away, is that if you're really feeling that you're not making progress, that means you don't have a clarity in the goal. So thank you for that. It really stuck me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Guy, that was a good one. Very good one. Okay,
And then-
Ashish. Oh, Sai, more, please.
Just want to take a moment and just thank Amir for this. I want to tell what has happened after he has went from the college as a junior. There is this company which is one of the best companies of our country, which comes for here. And Amir was one of the strong contender to get placed into the company, but due to some other reasons, he couldn't be placed. Maybe the interview didn't go well or something. And now it's been a year, the company came again. There were some guys who were left out, and those guys simply took Amir as an inspiration. That means my one more senior batch, they took Amir as an inspiration, and they said, yeah, if somebody like Amir couldn't get, but still get placed in one of the different branches, like in data science or stuff, we can do it. So thank you for that inspiration that you have given us as a junior. And I have told in the comment section that I'll text Avery for his inspiration, but I fear I can't, because I don't know, I just fumble. He's a guy, he's the reason that I am in here in data science, and I fear speaking to him. I just getting nervous.
Just keep it simple. Say, you can even blame me. Tom said I should tell you this, but you were the inspiration that got me into data science. You don't have to make it real elaborate. He'll get it. You know what? For those people those people that really put themselves out there, put themselves in the front, it's not easy to do that. And they need encouragement too, Sai. And Avery does it because he's a good guy and he cares. So please just I assure you, Avery will treat it like rocket fuel to keep doing what he's doing. Tim, you were
Yes,
going to add
I
something.
hope he really loves it.
All right, good. Ashish, we're back to you, buddy.
It's sort of reiterating of what everyone said. Two things that I follow to stay motivated. One is keep going on with the procedure, the routine. And in that only it involves again going for an evening walk, which sort of helps me recalibrate throughout my whole day and introspect on myself again, that if I am where I am supposed to be. Uh, it sort of helps me, whatever the day was, anything, if the day was anything, during that 1 hour, 45 minutes, whatever it is, I can refresh myself and start again. That's something that helped me stay motivated throughout.
Very good. Very good. This has been a great session. Amir, I was expecting great things and you exceeded my expectations. So this has been great. And oh, Mama has a question.
Well, I just want to answer my question also at last, as the last person. No, because these are totally good tips what the others also shared, and I just wanted to share my own one, how to push back the fear and this inner voice. And first of all, I just tell to myself that I didn't get so far just to get so far. So that keeps me going on, because I, as Rice said, that yeah, when you start, that you are in the flow, in the motion, and you just don't give up. So why would I just stop before the finish line? So I just move ahead, because basically I just remember the goal, or why not the goal, but why I started the whole process. And I think this is important, that you keep reminding yourself what the heck you started this, basically. And then I think the next answer to this question, and I just get this answer now, a minute ago, that probably you just remember something which made you really fear, a big fear was, but you overcome it. And for me, I can always say that, you know, if I could learn Python, then there is nothing else I cannot learn, basically. So you have to get a point, or you have to go back to a point or a situation in your life which was so big and large and like a Godzilla, and then this Godzilla is dead. So you won, and I think that push you forward, and then you tell to this inner voice that, you know, shut up, you know, I can do everything, something like that. And you just believe in yourself, as Bryce said. Yeah, you have to keep the faith that, yeah, you can do that, and there is a sense behind it, and there is a real motivation behind it.
What Magdi's sharing is so true. I just want to encourage y'all, if you're really struggling to learn something or gain a skill, please just break it down into smaller steps. Keep looking at it from different angles. Go learn it in a different location. Go read another reference. Don't stare at your computer screens. Don't make that your only mode of learning. All the things we've learned in the past. Yeah, Kimberly.
There was just one other aspect that I wanted to mention that Magdi reminded me of, and that's that, you know, nothing is ever done in vain. So sometimes, you know, like when Amar was giving his presentation, he was saying, well, that was a mistake, but there are no mistakes, right? I mean, really everything that we do, we learn from. And so if you're learning something, if you're having struggles, if you have to go back to something, I mean, I've had to go back to things in math over and over and over again. Even if I felt like I understood something, then something else comes up and I go, oh, wait, I don't think I really understood it. And then I go back. And I think that that it's important to remember that we never know when we've arrived, right? We never know when we're actually where we want to be until we're where we want to be. And so it's great to keep in mind that there is this unknown element. You don't have to stress yourself out that like, I have to make it to this by this time, because maybe that's not what is going to be the best use of everything that you've learned. Maybe something is going to come up that is perfect for every little tiny aspect that you did, like Steve Jobs. You know, the guy took a class because he was interested in typography. You know, he wanted to practice letters and the calligraphy and see how they looked. And wow, you know, look how useful that was when he created Mac. So it's important to keep in mind that sometimes we don't know how we're going to use something. Sometimes you just chase after what pulls you, because that's you, right? Everybody has their own path that they're walking. So if you suddenly get the urge to follow something, follow it and see where it takes you.
Yeah, absolutely. One of my data daughters reached out to me. She was a little worried. She wanted to go do this area that seemingly wasn't related to data. And I said, oh, no, don't worry about that at all. But just so you don't get too distracted by it, why don't you apply it to your data science presentations and stuff? It would really enhance those things. And that took the whole load off of her worrying about taking time to get better in that other seemingly not related to data science area. So no, it'll, use it to enhance your data science presentations so that you don't distract yourself from your ongoing long-term goal of being a top data scientist. So it worked out.
I want to add something just as expansion to Kimberly's point. It's not only we don't know where we are going to reach until we reach it. I think we have to believe that we will never reach. Okay, I think this is the best way to keep motivating, because we are here now. For example, get whatever we are able to get and go on. That's all. We will never reach. That means we will never stop. There is no way to stop unless we finish this live at the end. But what I want to add also here. Also, I think to everybody who is, maybe everyone here is younger than me. Also, another motivator for me, it's another motivator is, I think the biggest fear I have is to get something too late. I don't want that. And that's why I always try to do something as much as possible. Sometimes I delay a lot of things because I'm afraid about something to reach late. Yes, life is a gift at the end, so we have to try to get whatever we want, whatever we like to get.
Amen. And I think something that was said that we might have glossed over a bit, but I think Guy's kind of brought it back up too. But Amir, you made a good, strong point of it. It's okay that things don't go your way all the time. I think sometimes we allow ourselves to get too discouraged when things don't go as planned. Well, I like Kim's perpetual reminders. Hey, but we're still learning. So don't beat yourself up over it. Ashish.
Just a counter question to Guy. How do we make sure that we are not reaching the endpoint continuously? Like there might be some scenarios where we actually reach them, but don't know where to go forward from there.
Okay, if you reach one point and you don't know where to go, that means there's multiple options. That means you didn't reach. There is no end. This is my point. Okay, let's explore what will happen next. Always there is a next.
Okay, so deciding what's the next is the main challenge.
No, it's not that much challenge. Explore it. Find kind of indicators, whatever. Sometimes you just feel your, let's say, intuition. Go ahead. No worries about that. For me, this is what I'm doing. By the way, it's not planned. Most of the time, it's not planned. It's just, okay, this is very aligned with what I did before, so it's good to continue on that track because I'm there right now. Something like that.
Makes
Excellent.
sense.
Great discussion today. I hope everyone was encouraged. Sai, I think it's unanimous. Avery's gonna love you. You should have him on your show. You should let him know how much he's inspired you. So I'll help you. By the way, I wanted to say a couple of things. in closing. I'm 60 and I'm proud of it. I know you all thought I was 40 or even younger. I was telling Dr. Daughter that if I dyed my hair, I'd pass for, my late 30s, but she said, don't do it. I said, oh, no, I didn't mean I would do it. But the other thing is, this was great, Amir. Thank you so much. And Dennis is right. I mean, it has become more common in this day and age for people to be authentic and real and honest about their struggles. And looking back, this is one of the reasons I brought up my age. Thank God, your generation is being more mature than the adults when I was your age. Now, I don't know how it got that way. And they were great people. I love my mentors from when I was younger. But there was a cowboy up mentality, meaning, yeah, everybody gets hurt. We're not going to discuss it. Just get up and keep going. We didn't really talk about it. And I think it helps everyone to realize, oh, thank God I'm not the only one having those fears or those problems or those challenges. But still, Amir, those that take the time to say it publicly like you have no idea how many people you've helped. And it's not just the people here present now that watch these. And like I said, a lot of people watch these recordings from what I've heard, at least. So you've encouraged a lot of people. And Sai, you have to keep your podcast going, and you have to have people like Avery on it.
Next week, there will be one of the special guests in the podcast coming. Hopefully,
good.
We all know that.
Excellent.
I'll keep it a secret.
We'll keep a watch.
Excellent.
Definitely.
Excellent.
Thank you so much,
Okay.
Tom. I think, I have a few words to say. I have picked up really great notion from you that, let's just pass it on. Let's care for others and let's help others. Let's come forward, be honest with our, I won't term it as mistakes, but mistakes that are as a reminder to others, because nothing in life is really, it makes you learn, right? So mistakes with lessons to others so that they can be more aware and mature on their journey. So that's something that I have learned from you all, and thank you so much for having me here and saying all these things. Great session. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you. And let's see. I see, Gaith, if you